Welcome back, everyone, to another exciting episode of the Folding Towels podcast, a podcast by massage therapists for massage therapists, produced here in little old Adelaide in Australia. Today, Jackie and I are joined by a special guest, Paul Averill, who is the owner of Rub Massage, a massage clinic here in Adelaide with multiple locations. Paul has been with Rub for several years now. He is also the director of Massage Myotherapy Australia. Through his clinic in Rub, they have 5 practice locations and employing 14 therapists. And today we'll be talking a little bit about his journey from a role in corporate through a natural disaster to landing in Adelaide without a plan, and his journey into massage. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you for that lovely intro, David. It's great to be here. It's an honour. I love listening to your podcast, and now here we are on it, having a chat.
We're very excited to have you here, Paul.
Thanks, Jackie.
We're going to launch with a very deep question for you. This is really important, so you've got to think carefully about this. Who is your favourite superhero and why?
Well, I guess I'm a bit of a contrarian. I like the anti-hero types, so I'm going to have to say Batman. And I'm not really up with the modern superheroes because I don't really watch TV, so it will have to be old school Batman, I reckon. I'm talking old school Batman and Robin climbing up the side of a building.
Kapow. We've gone back to Adam West, have we?
Yeah, back to Adam West. That's right.
Right. Classic.
All right. Well, Paul, massage wasn't your very first career. It was a bit of a journey. Can you fill us in a little bit how you transitioned from your previous life into what is your life today?
Sure thing. Yeah, let me think back. I'm not going to go way back, but I'll start at about age 20, where I did what everyone was supposed to do, as far as I was told, was go to university and then come out of university and get a job and work until you retire, and then maybe you'll buy a house during that time, and that will be your career, whatever you get from uni. That was the narrative I was always told. Got to university and didn't really know why I was there. I was actually studying sports science, and I had a hankering and interest in that at the time, but I didn't really know the context of why I was there. I was kind of doing what I was told. But I actually quit that course after about 3 months. I just couldn't cope, and I didn't really know how to learn or how to study. I had never had that skill, and I just felt overwhelmed and out of my depth. So I left. And that's always niggled me in the back of my mind, but that I quit. I don't like quitting things. Anyway, from there on, I just went on to a multitude of different jobs, put my hand to many different things in trade, in like picking shelves and cleaning stuff, and then went into a little bit more office work and just basically bounced around, a little bit lost for many years, traveled around the world a bit. For a few years, Australia was my first destination on my working holiday. And again, that planted a seed. But I ended up falling, when I moved to New Zealand, I ended up falling into sort of corporate world, office work. Then that led to management, that led to training and coaching. And then I suddenly realized, I've actually found something I enjoy, which is coaching and training. And I did that for many years, and then ended up in Adelaide. And via, I think David mentioned a natural disaster, or maybe we can talk about that later. Ended up in Adelaide after the earthquake, continued in that role and worked for, finally, the job I did before massage was working with a team of 23 academics. They were delivering the MBA, and I was helping them coordinate their work. If you've never felt the feeling of imposter syndrome, try working with 23 doctors delivering an MBA, because I am not qualified and I had to learn on the job. But what I did do, and using my training background in leadership, was help them deliver what they do in a really impactful way. And that was where my skill set was actually being able to deliver something with leadership and with care, and and really think about the student on the end of the phone. Academics, I love them, but they're not the best at organizing themselves, and not always the best at delivering information in a way that lands really easily, because they're really high up thinkers. So yeah, that was what I did. But that was during the transition when I decided I'm done with corporate. I'm done with 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, shirt and tie. No, thank you. I never was one to follow the crowd, and by that time I was doing my diploma, so I jumped. Well, I kind of worked evenings and weekends for a while until I felt comfortable, and then my mentor at the time, which was Cindy, Cindy Kohler, and my employer said, sometimes you just got to step off the cliff into the unknown, and you'll find your way. And that's exactly what I did. And then I ended up in full-time massage, took the plunge.
Absolutely. Sometimes you have to take that leap of faith, not knowing what the outcome will be.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and honestly, I've never looked back. And somebody said to me a while ago, "Oh, massage, that career it's really flexible. You can work your own hours. You get to do it the way you want to do it. You can study as much or as little as you need to." And it's honestly absolutely true. I looked at nursing, physio, radiology, anaesthetist, assistant, all kinds of health science-based careers. But by that time, I'd already bought property. I was looking, enjoying income. I didn't want to go and do 4 or 5 years uni. I was late in my kind of mid to late 30s. It was too late in my eyes. So massage was perfect. It got me everything I needed. I could study as much as I want, and I can dig in as deep as I like, and I can work when I want and on my own terms. And that's what I did.
Wow, that's really cool.
I visited Christchurch in April of 2011, just 6 weeks after the big earthquake. I was working in local government at the time, and some of my colleagues did die in the earthquake. And there's a lot of families over here in Adelaide now who've emigrated from New Zealand following that natural disaster. Are you happy to share a little bit about your experience with that and your decision to move here to Adelaide?
Yes, I can. It was, I would say, it would be one. It sounds a bit cliche, but was one of the most life-changing events of my whole life. Like I think it really changed my perspective on what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and what the hell life is all about. Because you do realise that life is very short, especially when somebody has lost their life. There's also the survivor guilt is a real thing, in that when people do lose their lives, you feel that maybe why did they not get lucky and why was I lucky? So yeah, it was a really a huge event, a significant event in my life. But I was at work in it was around midday or something on the day of that earthquake, and I was on the phone, I remember, and I had a headset like yours, David, on at the time, chatting to somebody, and I just remember looking at my watch, going, "Okay, lunchtime soon," and then all of a sudden I felt like there was a train going past the building. Bear in mind, I was on the 4th floor at the time, and suddenly, you suddenly realized, because we'd had a few earthquakes prior to that, just a few big shakes. This was the kind of the big one. And then all of a sudden, the ceiling's raining down on us, and all the aircon units are falling in, and there's dust everywhere, and we're all underneath our desks. And then when the dust settles, and it felt like, I don't know, 4 minutes or something like this, but I think it was actually about 30 seconds, the actual main shake. And then you come out of that, step out of the dust, and all of a sudden I found myself walking home, paddling through liquefaction. I don't know if you saw that when you were there. It was sort of a silty sand comes through the floor and just pools everywhere. Bear in mind, Christchurch is built on marsh, so it wasn't the best ground to be shaking. And walking past devastation. There was a car covered in bricks. I didn't really know about whether there was someone in it or not. I don't know. It was a very, very scary situation. But you sort of go into I did anyway. I went into this sort of zone of, I guess people it is fight or flight, right? And I went into pragmatism. I just went into pure pragmatism. Okay, where are my friends? Where is everybody? Do I have what I need? I need a sleeping bag in the car. And I just went into that sort of focused, organized mode. And I didn't really give myself any space for the emotion that comes with this kind of thing. And I'm feeling that emotion now, actually, coming up. But walking up my driveway, I walked home, walked up my drive, and I noticed that the one brick wall that my house had, it was like a double brick wall made, and then the rest of it was weatherboard. Looked over and I could see my bed, and not through the window. There was just no wall there anymore.
Oh gosh.
So the house was wrecked. And so ended up at my mate's house. Look, everyone around me and everyone I knew was okay. It was just material devastation. And it wasn't until that night that I called, because my mother lives in the UK. So when this all happened, they were asleep. So when it was PM my time, I called England on the analog phone because the internet and everything was out. And I just said, oh, don't stress. But if you see anything on the news tomorrow about a major earthquake, we're okay. But it was at that moment that the emotion came in, and I kind of just lost it and had a good cry, with mum. Just hearing my mum's voice was what did that for me. But yeah, look, long story short, we were there for a few years after the earthquake, and my wife Pascal, she got a job here in Adelaide. We'd never been here before. A friend of mine had moved here a few years prior, and he just said, yeah, look, it's great. I didn't really know much about it. And I think Christchurch is a sister city to Adelaide.
That's correct.
Yeah. Anyway, we rocked up, and I think Adelaide, personally, is the best kept secret of Australia.
Don't tell everybody, Paul.
No,
Shush.
no. Absolutely love it.
Terrible here. We hate it.
Oh, it's horrible. Country town. Raining. Yeah. But yeah, we haven't really looked back. We've been here over 10 years now. I do go back to Christchurch. Though, and yeah, it's changed a lot since. It probably would have looked like an apocalypse when you were there, David.
It was certainly a very confronting experience. Shops still with their lights left on, but just boarded up. People got out, and that's just the way it stayed until power was disconnected and things. And the thing that surprised me the most was how selective the earthquake was with some of those areas where some buildings were just completely flattened, and then the next building would be untouched.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so we got to experience an aftershock while we were there. It's fairly weird when your car starts bouncing up and down for no reason.
What's going on?
Yeah.
It's kind of, in a way, you look back and there are funny moments. You pick out the funny moments from a bad situation. But I remember after the earthquake, sitting in cafes, and we'd become quite resilient to the aftershocks. And for those who've never been through an earthquake, there's thousands of aftershocks after the event. And some of them are quite significant. And if you imagine you've got your coffee and your newspaper in front of you at the cafe, and then around you are other customers and tourists and that kind of thing. And then you feel that train go by again, and you think, oh, it's an aftershock or an earthquake. It could be a big one, it might not be. So you just pick your coffee cup up and your coffee, and while you're just relaxed and picking your coffee up, waiting to see what happens, the tourists are jumping under the tables and panicking a little bit because you just become so used to it and complacent with it. Yeah, so it's quite funny.
Well,
I took the story in another direction.
No, it's good. It's really good to hear that because, like, for myself personally, I've not been to New Zealand at all, unfortunately, and I've not been through an earthquake. So that's it's a very interesting perspective to hear from someone who was there. Because I do know a few people who do live here in Adelaide who have a lot of relatives over there and who were, affected by the earthquake, whereas I wasn't. So it's very, can be confronting, I think, but very, good to hear that perspective as well. So thank you for sharing that story with us.
Yeah, no worries. It certainly taught me a lot about myself, like I said, how I cope in certain situations. So it was a really good self-reflection as well when you go through something that's pretty significant.
Yeah.
In your studies for your diploma for massage, whereabouts did you study?
Well, I was there yesterday actually to visit and chat to the students on their diploma at the Australian Institute of Fitness.
Oh yes.
Yeah, and it's so nice to go back in and see them, and it's funny to see students because you're like, oh, I was there once, and it feels like you've come on so far. It's crazy. Yeah, so Australian Institute of Fitness I studied, and then straight to work. So
we've said a few times on the show that the average lifespan of a massage therapist is only 5 to 7 years in their career. You've been in the industry for quite some time now. What are some of your secrets to staying around for so long?
Self-care, physical health. That's obviously the obvious ones, really, but. I've been, obviously now my focus has shifted a little bit more from clinic because we have the large number of staff and five locations, and I am my wife Pascal is a director as well, but she works full time, in her job, and she's a dietitian by trade, but she's in sales. So I kind of run the day to day. I guess I'm managing director, and the time if I'm spending it in clinic, it's not being spent with my team or supporting my team in any way. So I've had to make a really conscious decision to step out of clinic. Although I've still got the clients that won't let me go, and in some ways I won't let them go either, because I really love treatments. There's nothing more relaxing, and I've never had a job as relaxing as remedial massage and working massage, because you get this privileged opportunity to work with one person for around an hour. They're in a space where they can be themselves. It's confidential for them, and you get to share that time with them, and you're not like I'm drawing anything from them. It's their time, but there's an exchange of energy, and it's crazy when you look back at how many clients. When I look back at how many clients I've treated and the different walks of life they've come from, probably every industry, I suppose, every trade. Lawyers, doctors, surgeons, tradies, brickies, support workers, social workers, nurses, everything, everybody. And there's one trait I think that is common among everyone and all of these clients, is that they all have this need. We all have this need for human connection. I find it such a privilege to have that opportunity to do that. So I can't let go of that and just be the boss at work. I really do enjoy that one-on-one time sometimes.
Yeah. So it's an important thing to stay connected with the industry as well, and know from your staff's perspective, what's going on. But yeah, it's one of those failings of a lot of business owners, is when they stay in the trenches for too long and they don't have the time for their staff or for the business. You see this resentment, this divide grow between management ownership and employees.
It is tricky as well, yeah, because I am drawn to treats. That's kind of what I got into it in the first place for. But I don't in any way resent the fact that I've chosen this path of owning a business, and I do really enjoy that as well. I enjoy the leadership, but I also enjoy growing, helping people grow, and I'm not an expert in massage by any means, but I had a really good following of clients, and I learned a lot. And I feel like I can impart some of that knowledge onto some new grads, but also experienced therapists who maybe come from a different path as me, and we can just share ideas. So yeah, I enjoy that part as well. Yeah,
I'd love to talk a little bit about Cindy, if we can. Cindy was a stalwart of the industry, and she was a fantastic employer. A lot of grads from my college went to work underneath her. And I know that she mentored you for some time. What are some of the learnings that you took away from working with Cindy?
Well, look, Cindy is, if anyone hasn't met Cindy, so Cindy was the founder of Red Massage, yeah, and she's I'll try and tell you what I know, but she's come from an educator background. She's a born teacher, a coach, mentor, a massive experience in massage as well. But one of her real personal trait, one of her real skills is she has this real intuition into human behavior, and this ability to understand how a person is thinking, but also what they might need to help them get some form of breakthrough to move forward in something. And she has this ability to be absolutely brutally honest, but with some love attached to it. So she can tell you some quite cutting feedback, or some quite harsh feedback, but it's delivered in a way that it's delivered with love and heart and empathy, and you can't help but want to grow when you're with her. And so it's an absolute pleasure and privilege that I had this opportunity to work closely with her in the business. And she's great. She's still working and coaching after she sold Rub. She's got a company called Mind Garage, and she does life coaching, but mostly business and financial coaching as well. She's also running a BNI in one of the main members of the BNI up in Adelaide as well. So yeah, still kicking goals and just doing great things and helping people. It's amazing.
Wow, that's a real skill to be able to tell somebody some not quite nice feedback, but for them to take it on board and really roll with it and go, you know what, I needed to hear that.
Yeah, that's right. And I've had plenty of it as well.
She sounds amazing. I've not met Cindy, but she sounds pretty amazing.
what you see is what you get, and there's a real honesty in that.
Yeah.
And she really does deliver on a promise. If you work with her, she does take one-on-one clients as well. And sometimes, I still, when I can and when she can, bring her into rub massage as, I guess, some form of kind of consultant mentor, and I'll partner her up with one or two therapists, and she'll spend 2 or 3 hours in the room with them. And it can be transformational for some of them. She doesn't just focus on techniques, but that's usually the guys that she goes in with. But then she just brings so much out of people that they're able to just realize where they really need to make change, and that's often on a personal level as well. So she's just a change maker.
What was the step then that you decided on to purchase Rub? Because that's a big step, Paul, to make from going to working in a business to buying the business. Was that an easy choice for you to make, or was that a long, drawn out process where you had to think about it quite a lot?
It was a pretty easy decision. I actually remember the day that Cindy called me, because we were in lockdown in the middle of COVID. And actually, Cindy had closed down the business, and there was no business, or there was no clients.
Yeah.
And so she called us up. It was raining, I remember. And she said, Paul, I've decided it's time to do something new. And Cindy's the type of person, and she said this herself, is that she'll, in a way, burn the boats. If she's going to move on to something new, she moves on fully and fully present, and becomes fully present with that thing. And so she said, I've decided, I think it's time to move on. Rub massage I've done everything I need or want to do, and it could do with fresh eyes, and it could do with fresh energy, take it to another level. And I couldn't, and she paid me one of the most amazing compliments and said, I couldn't think of anyone else I would want to do it than you, or you and Pascal, and your family, because we've got Audrey as well, who's 4, and she included Audrey in that description. So and then finished the call, and then Pascal and I kind of just sat dumbfounded, jaws on the floor for a few minutes, thinking, hang on a minute, are we actually going to buy a health business in the middle of a global health crisis? Is that the best decision we could make? So it wasn't an easy decision in that respect. We're weighing up all these risks. Is there even going to be a business after this lockdown? Because no one really knew at the time. We thought, oh, this is the end of the world.
Yeah, we did.
How are we going to cope with no toilet paper?
If only the problem was that simple.
It wasn't. It was a quick decision to say that I think this is a good move. I think it's something we could really do, get our teeth into. We haven't run a business like this. I've been involved in business. We have property, and we run that as kind of a business as well. But this was a whole new thing. It was a step up for me, and I was kind of like, am I up for this challenge? Do I want this? Because I really enjoy the comfort of rocking up to work, delivering some massage, chat with great people, and go home and get on with my day. A business is you immerse when you take on something like this. Yeah. So it was a pretty easy decision that we knew it was what we had to do, because I could not and wouldn't be prepared to see rub massage stop doing what it does. It has a really great impact on a lot of people. So we delivered near on 10,000 massages last year, and we contribute some of that. Take $1 for every massage, and we contribute that to different charities. Like, there's all kinds of impact of running this business. So to be able to continue that was an amazing thing. So that was easy, but the actual buying of it was a nightmare, because then you've got to try and go to a bank and persuade them to give you money in the middle of a global health crisis to buy a health business. Took a while to get it over the line, but we got there in the end.
Well, we're very, very glad that you did. Rub has a wonderful reputation here in Adelaide. And one of my friends that I go and see for massage, she goes to see one of your therapists for her massage, and she loves Rub.
Oh, I love that. I love Adelaide for that as well.
It has been the starting point for a lot of massage therapists in their careers, where they've been nurtured and grown beyond the classroom to the point where they've been able to step out into their own businesses as well. It's a fantastic training ground.
Thank you. That's a really nice thing to say. And And actually, that's what I really love. I do come from a training background, as did Cindy, and so we try our best. And look, it isn't perfect by any means, but we try our best to provide as much education as we can, and especially for new grads. I think there's a big gap when you come out of it on a diploma between you've got your diploma and these certain set of skills that you've been working on for a couple of years, and then you're out in the big wide world, and there's this big gap, gaping hole of knowledge before you've treated 1,000 or more people. Or, to become a really effective and efficient and kind of world-class level therapist. So I'm trying to bridge some of that gap with some professional development. So yeah, and I love that part of it. That's really enjoyable for me. It doesn't feel like work.
I think I love that the most about what we do. For those of us that love it, it's not work for us. It's
No.
we just enjoy it so much.
Yeah, that's right. And when you really think about what we're doing as a collective, like no competition really. I caught up with the owner of one of the other bigger massage companies in Adelaide the other day for coffee, and it was beautiful. We had a lovely coffee and had a great chat about business, about the industry and the impacts that we have on the industry and the challenges that you have as an employer, and all of the opportunity to have a rant to each other. And it's just a really lovely way for us to share, because it's quite isolating. Being a massage therapist is quite isolating because you're in the room with a client all the time. But then also as a business owner, you're running your business and you don't get to speak to other owners very often. So yeah,
you just don't have the time, do you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And when you think about it, though, as a collective, we're all trying to come out with the same outcome for the community at the end of the day, and just provide a way for people to reduce pain, create mobility, flexibility, longevity of life. And so we're all on the same page, really, where we want to go. It's no competition.
Absolutely.
In the world of business, one of the most terrible things that I see happen is when business owners try to, I guess they act out of jealousy or act out of fear, and they try to just protect everything, and they don't collaborate with others or in their industry. And that extends down to their staff as well, where they're fiercely protective about, no, you work for me and you always work for me. And they put in place things to try and stop employees from leaving, not in terms of good positive culture, but governing with fear. And for any employer who sees their staff as like one day their staff will move on. It's just a fact. And when I looked at Rub Massage website, the two words which come to mind are fun and family.
Yes, yeah, and you know what? That's part of Cindy's legacy as well. She was really a funny, dark sense of humor, And I mean, she came up with the name. Or actually, I believe it was her sister and her nieces and Cindy trying to think of what do we call this. This is like way back, 15 plus years ago. What do we call this business? And then I think one of the nieces said, just call it Rub, because that's what you do. And yeah, that fits. So it's a quirky name, but when you think about it, yeah, that's what we do. A lot of. We have a vehicle that's got sign writing on it. It's got Rub Massage on the side and so on. And when Pascal's driving, funnily enough, you get the odd tradie pointing and laughing.
Oh.
But I don't get that when I'm driving. But the other thing is that even despite the name, the I suppose quote unquote connotation it could put out there, we don't get those kind of clients, who think you call up thinking, "Oh, I'm calling for a rub." So it's pretty clear, and you can see it on our website as well, pretty well, that we are clinical, remedial. That's what we do, and that's what we do well. So yeah, it's a great name, and it's a sense of humour that Cindy brought to it, and that sense of family as well. Yeah,
it's easy to say and remember.
It is easy to remember. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
somewhere along your journey, you decided that it would be fantastic to get involved at a greater level with the Peak Association for Massage.
Tell us all, Paul. Tell us everything.
The inside story.
All the gossip.
Why did you get involved with Massage Myotherapy in a greater level than just being a member?
Yeah. Well, I think when we're as a massage therapist, you're like, well, I need my provider numbers, so I need to be in an association. And you're like, which one's the best one? Somebody makes a recommendation, and you get a bit of a discount with Aon, or they say, oh, these ones are good because they get good customer service. I didn't really know much about, other than that, I didn't really know much about the association or associations. I was with Massage Myotherapy as a member, and I went through certification for myself as when I was a therapist. So certification, there's more info on the website if you want to understand more. We could talk more on that another day maybe, but through that process, I spoke to Kevin Skillen, who's he's the office manager there, but he's also on the board and he's part of the education committee. And he just happened to mention, he said, "Oh, there's a nomination for South Australia director for the association." I'm like, "Well, what's that?" No idea. Nominated because I was interested and got voted in. I was thinking, oh, I don't know if I can swear, can I, on the here? But I thought,
Go for
shit.
it, we do.
Yeah. Oh shit, now what? Like I've been voted in on the board of the association. What is that? What is it about? I have no idea. So the first year you do a term of 3 years as director, and you can have up to 3 terms if you're voted for a second or third term. So I just finished my third term and really, really happy and stoked to say I was voted in for a second one. But the first year and a half, you're just really just observing, seeing what's going on, kind of, I guess, reading the room a little bit, because you're in the room with 8 or 9 other directors and you're trying to get the lay of the land. And then after that, you start to feel maybe, actually, I do have some value to add here. I can actually bring some insights. And so what goes on in the boardroom, the goal of the association is to provide to help professionals and support members in a way that they can be the professionals they want to be, and to provide as much resources and education as possible to help them on that journey and guide them. And one of the other really amazing things that our association, and I think the other ones do as well, is advocate massage to governments and look to try and make policy change to separate the not so professional, not unqualified, unskilled massage industry with the professional, skilled, qualified, driven, clinical industry as well, massage and myotherapy, and try and make that distinction. Certification is really the goal for that. But so I got all this insight in my first couple of years, and I was like, how can I bring insight? But now I have, got the business. I can advocate for therapists because I work on the front line. I can advocate for business owners, and I can bring that insight of challenges that I experience trying to get great therapists and employ people, and I can bring those challenges into the boardroom, and we can try and find solutions to those problems for the members. So yeah, that's a lot of what we do. We talk a lot, we argue a bit, but ultimately we're all on the same page, trying to bring more value to members. And yeah, and I'm rabbiting on a little bit, but each director has an initiative they need to develop, which again has got to add value. And there's been a few that have been, this is over a 3-year period, and a few of the ones have come out recently. We've got the centre gentleman called Paul over to China, to the World Games, and he won a scholarship to go to China. There's a cycling SA scholarship available each year. And also we've now just had an agreement with, I think it's the Parasport, that we're sending 2 people to work with the Paralympics. I believe that's what it is. Don't quote me on it. But
that's super exciting,
super cool
to go and be a part of the Olympic Games and the Paralympics. Like, I remember reading the email about the Olympics and just being like, just so thrilled for that person.
Amazing. And actually, Paul, who won the trip to China, you couldn't get a better person. Like he was just such a humble guy. He came to the conference in New Zealand, and we like Vince, the person who developed this initiative. He's on the board. He almost forced Paul onto the stage, and he's not the kind of person who would speak. And he was so emotional on stage, talking about that he wouldn't have imagined in his wildest dreams of doing something like this. So an amazing opportunity. And so these scholarships is just trying to give back to members. And so somebody out there, you don't ever think, if you're a therapist, that you can't get on one of these scholarships. It'll be a great thing. And there's one other one, which is from Stacey. Stacey's done an initiative where she's bringing remote therapists into in remote areas to do CPE events, that those who are regional, who can't get to CPE events, either we the scholarship pays for them to come over to a more of a CBD area to get an event, to do an event, or we send somebody over to the regional area to deliver an event as well, like a workshop.
Fantastic.
So that's awesome, yeah, because a lot of the regional crew don't get to see all of those, you know. They don't go to the workshops.
I think we'll start to wrap things up. I've got a question off script for you. You've had quite the journey from your corporate life into being a massage therapist, into purchasing a massage business. And as a business owner, and particularly when you're buying a business, the question which is often asked is, well, what will be the step after that? Not necessarily an exit plan, but your forward plan. Where do you see yourself going in the next few years?
I recently, Pascal and I, we've had this very conversation. We did a deep dive into the business because we put a submission in for the Telstra Business Awards, and I think I'm allowed to say that we got into the finals, but we have the final interview up in a couple of weeks, so we'll see if we actually win the states. This will be, I think, the first, if we were to win, the first massage company to ever be win the state or national Telstra Business Award. So it might put us on the map. Yeah,
that is so exciting.
Thank you. Yeah, it is. It's amazing. It's a massive submission to put in for the Telstra Business Awards. It's not for the faint-hearted, I can tell you. But yeah, so that's all really awesome. But it forced us to do a deep dive. Like, what's the plan? And they want to know about. Obviously, you know, they really want to take a fine-tooth comb into your business, and they want to know how much you know your business and what your vision is and for the future. So yeah, we had to give it some good thought. And that vision is there is growth, I think, for rub massage. I think there is growth. It's a really great business. It's a really great business model, and I believe it's replicable. I think it is something we could replicate. I would be very careful to grow it too quickly because I want to hold on to the quality of the care. That's really important to me. And so I would, if we were to grow, whether it's in Adelaide or even interstate or globally, it would be something I'd do very, very carefully. But ultimately, I want to just make sure that I'm recruiting and training great people. And if we have a really heavy hand in the recruitment side of things and make sure we're just providing, like we talked about before, that pathway into a career for people, that would be fulfilling for me in terms of my next step. I do see I'd like to fill a gap in that education space between graduating and you know, I guess, quote unquote, world class, and try and help people pathway into that away from being a new grad. So yeah, that's something I really love. As for exiting, I don't really know. Like, I just love what I do. It doesn't feel like work, even though it is quite hard work, and I do really enjoy it. So I don't really see us stopping doing what we're doing. If I was to exit, I'd need to have the right person in place to take over from me, and or to take on that part of it. Yeah.
One of the things that I took away from the Adelaide conference last year, that was my first massage conference, by the way.
That's surprising, actually, David. I have to say, I thought you've been to a couple.
No, not to conferences. Lots of CPE, lots of specialized training, but not to a conference. And I thought, because it's in Adelaide, I really should go to it. Since I didn't have travel and accommodation expenses. No excuses there. Massage is the longest career that I have been in, and so obviously I really like what I do. But I was in this room with therapists who were totally and utterly in love with what they do. And people who'd been in the industry for 30 plus years and still have energy to bring to the table every single day. And I was a little bit confronted by that and in awe of their passion for the industry. So if there's one message that you'd like our listeners to take away today, what do you think that would be?
Well, you did mention, you mentioned how do I how have I lasted in the industry? I didn't really answer your question in full, but I think that for me, it is that self-care thing. It's that self-care piece, getting really understanding how you tick, what your triggers are for falling down the rabbit hole in terms of physical health, mental health, sleep, and nutrition, all of the basics, but which I'm not always perfect at either. That's hugely important. But if I was to say, if there was a message to take away, it would be think about the impact you have on your community, because what we do is a privilege. And I think that the actual hands-on massage, you can help that one person. But if you're say you're treating a nurse and you've helped them relieve pain, reduce pain, increase mobility, flexibility, improve their sense of well-being, and then they go out into their world and they treat people in the hospital, and they treat them with better energy, and they're more present with them, and they're able to cope better with it. And imagine the impact that they have on. So this really amazing ripple effect that we have as therapists. And then I think, okay, well, now as a business owner, I get to help my staff learn how to do that too. So yeah, that's a really important thing to remember. And the second thing I would say, second one is get comfortable being uncomfortable. I find that every time I've found myself getting too comfortable, it's often because I've become a bit lazy, complacent. I'm not maybe challenging myself. I could maybe, it's an opportunity, I suppose. And maybe comfort is okay for you, and where you are at in your life career. But for me personally, if I'm too comfortable, I get a bit lazy. And so I always like to review how I'm feeling, check myself. Am I feeling a bit sort of complacent? Do I need to review, improve, and refine what I'm doing? I might not necessarily change what I'm doing or add on to what I'm doing, but I just want to refine it and make sure it's the best it can be, in whether it's my treatments or how I am as a boss or how I show up for my wife, my kid at home. I'm always kind of trying to check myself there. I'm not always that good at it, but I do my best.
It's something that we should probably be doing periodically, at least, checking in and seeing how we're responding and if we can do better and make some changes. Yeah.
Well, funny enough, I was introduced to the idea of healing way back when, and I was probably 18 or 19, and somebody I worked with said, "Oh, come over, I'll do some Reiki on you." And I was like, "Well, I've never heard of this thing." I was just a kid. Her name was Dora, and she had a daughter called Nikki, and they both worked on me at the same time. Dora at my head, Nikki at my feet, and gave me a Reiki session, and I'd never experienced anything like it. It was an interesting experience, but she said something to me which stuck, and she said, "You're a natural healer." And I had no idea what she meant by that, no clue. And I'd sort of put it to bed, and I sort of forgot all about it. And years later, I kind of think back, it's like that maybe planted the seed for me. But what Dora did was she unfortunately didn't take care of herself very well, and so she gave a lot of herself to others. And that had a detrimental effect on her physical health, I believe. And so I think that's self-care and just recognizing what's where you need to protect yourself from, empathy, exhaustion, and that kind of thing is hugely important for longevity in the industry.
Absolutely agree. Can I ask, Paul, is massage part of your self-care routine? Are you getting massages yourself? And not just because you might need to vet new therapists that you're hiring. Be honest with us. Come on.
I get a lot of fun out of interviewing, because every interview involves some kind of massage.
Yes.
Yeah. No, it is. Yeah. I haven't been for a little while because I was a little bit sick. I didn't want to bring that into the room, but yeah, absolutely. I'll get a massage once every couple of weeks. And I've got Cairo this afternoon with Marriotteville Cairo, Kate. She's amazing. And she's the way that she delivers her treatments is because I've got a joint condition called ankylosing spondylitis, prone to a bit of inflammation here and there.
Yeah.
She takes a really careful approach. It's not what you would consider traditional chiro.
Okay.
Yes. So I do look at self-care. I try to be really healthy and stay in the gym and everything as well. Yep. Yeah. Love my massage.
I'm getting some reflexology in a couple of hours, so I'm very much looking forward to that. I love reflexology.
Very nice. That's so lovely as well. Really good for the soul. Yeah.
Yeah. David, what about you?
I've got a physio treatment this afternoon.
Physio. Oh.
At the moment, I can't sit on the floor cross-legged to read to my children, so I'm getting that sorted out.
That's a good reminder, isn't it? Like when you've got young kids. How old are your kids, David?
They're 8 and 11.
8 and 11, right? Yeah. And my daughter's 4, and I'm like, I don't want to not be able to get down on the floor and play with her or run around after her. Like I can't be that dad, that unhealthy dad.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a great motivation for keeping in good shape.
Yes.
Yeah, sure is.
Staying fit and staying flexible.
And there's nothing like telling you that you're now in your 40s, like trying to get up off the floor.
Yes.
That's right. I'm on the other side now, heading towards the 50.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, I'm not enjoying those numbers creeping up, I have to say. Thank you so much, Paul, for joining us. This has been a wonderful conversation. We were so excited to have you on the show. We've been looking forward to this.
I've been excited to come on. It's been a real pleasure, and thanks for having me. I've really enjoyed the chat.
Awesome.
Well, I think we'll catch up with Paul in another episode as well. And I'd love to hear more from your perspective as an employer and the types of things that you were looking for in your therapists.
Yeah, look, I mean, we could get into a bit of that and some of the challenges as an employer, because I'm sure there's therapists out there who might want to grow a little bit and
Absolutely.
and take on staff and that kind of thing. It's always really hard to do that. Where's the balance? Yeah, sure, love that.
Yeah, terrific.
If anybody wants to get hold of me, I can kind of leave in terms of contacting me. If anyone wants to chat with me, like as a director or just because they want to chat, they can just find me via our website and send us a message through the website, and I'll be able to respond there.
We'll pop those contact details in the show notes.
We will. We definitely will. Am I allowed to bring up the fact that you did actually have a podcast yourself, Paul? Am I allowed to talk about that, David?
Absolutely.
I actually was listening to a few episodes very recently, Paul, in anticipation of today. And I thought it was wonderful. I listened to a couple of the first ones and then a couple of the last ones. So, yeah, I'll ask you later why you stopped. I have a feeling it's just because of the whole COVID thing, because you stopped early 2020, I think it was. But yeah, it was wonderful, and such a variety of guests that you had as well.
It's called the Man Bits Podcast, and it was straight up chat about men's health. And I just had this urge to try and reduce the damaging effects of mental health on men, but actually it ended up becoming for women and men. And I just interviewed people who had gone through a journey of some sort, whether it was a mental health journey, a trauma journey, or whether their journey had led them into an industry that helps mental health, or just somebody who's super fit. I've spoken to, oh gosh, there's so many interviews in there, isn't there? There's 110 episodes, so heaps. It's such an amazing thing. I really loved it. It took up, as you would well know, a lot of time. And then, COVID really was that change, and taking on Rob was the other bit. I wanted to fully immerse into the business. So the podcast had to take a second seat.
Yes.
Whilst we had shutdown, I did about 4 YouTube videos with this aspiration to be some kind of YouTube influencer, but that didn't pay off.
Yeah. That it takes so much time, and like David and I love doing the podcast, but we're constantly thinking about it, and there's prep work, and then you've got to post to social media and do the editing and organize the interviews and coordinate times and schedules with people. It is such a lot of work to do that sort of thing. And to be honest, we don't get paid for this currently. So we're doing it all for love.
Yeah, that's right. And same here. It did for me as well. And I think it was just starting to get attention in a way that I might be able to get paid. There was one accolade, was that we got a handful of podcast episodes went onto the Virgin in-flight entertainment for about a year.
Wow.
You could listen to the episodes while flying on Virgin. That was amazing to me. I couldn't believe it. Like, somebody sent me a photo on a text they were on the plane, like with the episode on the screen in front of them. I was like, man, this is amazing. I did that. Got the thing there. So yeah, don't ever stop what you're doing. I love this platform for this open level conversation, and the passion you guys bring to it. It's just amazing. So yeah, keep doing it. I know it's stressful and time consuming.
Thank you so much, Paul, for saying that.
If you have loved this episode and any episode, please stay connected with us. If you've got any questions, feel free to reach out to us on Facebook or Instagram. The links are at the top of this podcast. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Folding Towels podcast so that you never miss an episode. And if you happen to be listening on Spotify or Apple, it would mean ever so much if you could please leave us a rating and or a review.
Thank you so much, Paul, for joining us today. This has been absolutely wonderful to have you here, and I am positive that our listeners are going to love it too. So thank you.
Thanks, Jackie. It's been great to be here.
Thanks for sharing today, Paul.
We'll see you next time, guys.